Today is February 10th, 2026. Yesterday, February 9th, we had a trade take place in Unrivaled. I didn't even know they could do trades in Unrivaled, considering it's a 3v3 league. But it was a big trade announced in Unrivaled yesterday. It was a three-team trade between the Breeze, Blinn, and Hive. All teams struggling this season, trying to get that final spot in the playoffs as it is up for grabs. The Breeze, they got in this trade, they got Courtney Williams, who's only scored double-digit points twice this season, and it's still some good depth though, because she's giving you good rebounding and good playmaking, but she struggles shooting. The Win got Sanaya Rivers, who's going to get them some great defense, which was much needed. And they haven't gotten stuff. They have a point differential of -6, while the Hive they're 3-7. They got Sarah Stevens, who started the season strong but has struggled lately, and they still need some 3-point shooting, which she doesn't help with that. And so since we don't have a hot take for this week, I'm gonna break down this trade since it was breaking news from yesterday. Decided to cover it here. I'm gonna start with that. That's gonna be the first topic. Welcome to Ed Fluential Sports, where passion meets precision. And so I'm your host, Ed, diving deep into the plays, players, and stories shaping the game. Make sure you leave a like, subscribe, and comment, and share for others to see, of course. Now, let's go more in depth into this trade and what's going on in Unrivaled. As I will be doing my power rankings for Unrivaled on Thursday, because they got the 1v1 tournament coming up, which is kind of their all-star break for Unrivaled, which is going to be February 11th. And then you will have they'll get back to action on the 3rd. Well, no, the tournament continues on the 13th. So yeah, their all-star break is active now. The 1v1 tournament starting. Not sure what day it ends, but that's not important. That's not what we're here to talk about. So we're here to talk about this trade and why these three teams decided to make this move. Now, all three teams needed to make moves because, like I said, I didn't know you could do this, but in Unrivaled, you can make trades. So all three teams needed to make moves based off where they're at in the season. When you look at the top three, the Laces are 8-2, already secured a playoff spot, plus 60-point differential. The Phantom are 8-3, plus 68-point differential on a 4-game winning streak. They secured a playoff spot. And then you got the Mist, who are 7-4, plus 55-point differential. They haven't secured a playoff spot yet, but with another win, they probably will. I think if they win an 8th game, which that'll obviously be post 1v1 tournament. So I think that's going. I could see when it ends, because what day is the finals? Okay, that didn't show me that. But back to the standings, those three teams, like I said, the Laces and Phantom already clinched playoff berths. The Mist, they're going to be clinching one soon with another win or two. So then you got 4 through 8. You got the Breeze, who are 5-5. The Rose, who are 5-6, the Blinn, who are 4-7, the Hive, who are 3-7, and the Lunar Owls, who are 2-8. All these teams are trying to secure that final spot in the playoffs because it's really unrealistic. I don't see the Mist just going cold at the end of the season. Now, they did lose their last game, but I think once they come back, depending on who, I think they'll win coming out of 1v1 tournament out of their all-star break. But the Mist, not the Mist. The Breeze, they're 5-5, so they're in that 4th spot at the moment by half a game. And who did they get? The Breeze, they got back Courtney Williams, so for the Breeze, they're 5-5. They've been all right, haven't been terrible. They somehow have a plus 36-point differential despite having a 500 record, so that's really weird. But they get Courtney Williams, who's going to give them some good playmaking and good rebounding. She's averaging 4 rebounds, 4 assists, but she has struggled shooting all year. So you're not going to be able to use Courtney Williams late crunch time. Like late in the game, if it's close, it's down to just a few points, you can't use her in that late game scenario. Despite how good her rebounding and playmaking is, like she's able to create shots at a very good level. Obviously, because in a 3v3 league, 4 assists, that's still something decent in 7-minute quarters. So you got to look at it at that. But you still get good depth, but I don't know if this is the move they needed to make. I do think they come out of here as losers, and I think the Hive come out as the biggest losers. At least for the Breeze, they got a little bit of depth, so they aren't terrible. They're not in a terrible position. They get a little better, but like the roles that they still pass them, possibly. Like, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibilities for the roles to pass them. Like if they're only a half game behind them, and on the roles, like you got Shakira off. The roles only have 5 players, so I feel like they should be able to add somebody. But if Chelsea Gray can keep doing what she's doing, I don't. Yeah, I think somebody's injured for them. Yeah, Haley Jones has been injured. Then Chelsea Gray, she's averaging 25 per game. So if they keep doing that, they might have a chance if she keep going off. But for the Hive, I like this the most. No, not the Hive. The Vlen, I like this the most. The Vlen are 6. They're 4-7, 1.5 games back of the 4th seed for the final playoff spot. I really love this move because this team is very talented. The Vlen, they got Brittany Griner, De'Erica Hamby, Ryan Howard, Erica Willer, Ray Burrell. So this team you would expect to be a little bit better than just 4-7, but it just hasn't been that. Which you could, and like they've been healthy. And so one thing they needed is some more defense on this team because they don't have any great defenders. Like Brittany Griner, she's all right. She's not what she was a few years ago defensively in the W. So obviously that's not going to carry over. Erica Willer, you're not expecting her to play defense like that. Burrell, she's getting you a steal a game, which is something solid, 3 rebounds. Ryan Howard, you're relying on her for offense, but yeah, you're relying on Howard and Hamby for offense. And then you have a -6 point differential throughout the season. So they haven't gotten stops late. So I like them to get Sanaya Rivers. That's a really good move. Sanaya Rivers averaging 5.7 points per game, 2.6 rebounds, one steal per game, and 1.2 blocks per game. I really like that move. She's a good defender, and she's done this in only 9 minutes per game. I like what she did in college. I like her first season in the W, one of my favorite players. So I feel like they win this. The Vlen won this trade. They won this deal because they're going to be great. Now, at least defensively, they're going to be able to get some more stops. And for the Hive, this move really don't make sense to getting Zara Stevens because you're not a good 3-point shooting team. And she doesn't help you with your 3-point shooting because you got Kelsey Mitchell, she shoots 37% from 3, and Natasha Heidemann, she shoots 35% from 3. But everybody else, Izzy Magador, 10%. Zara Stevens, 26% on 3 attempts. Monique Billis, 26%. Sonia Citron, one of my favorite players, 23%. And so she doesn't help your 3-point shooting. That's one of your biggest issues. You can't shoot threes. And then you get a woman who, yeah, she can get you some. So what does she average? 6 rebounds? Yeah, she can get you some rebounds. That's really it. She gonna get you some rebounds, get you a few points, but she's not giving you great defense. She's not even. It might be solid at times, but it could be bad sometimes too. And she's not giving you any shooting. So this deal is really bad. This is a bad move for the Hive. So I don't know what the plan is here. I just see them struggling more to end the season. The Breeze, I'm 50-50 on because that Courtney Williams has struggled shooting wise, but maybe in those other areas she can provide for them. But you can't use her late in game for the Hive. I hate this deal. For the win, really good move. You get a great defender. That -6 point differential that could change, and going forward, like you might win your next game by 6 or 7 points with her defense. So the Vlen, you get some much needed defense. The Breeze, they get Courtney Williams, who struggled most of the season scoring wise, but you get a little bit of depth with her playmaking and rebounding. Then for the Hive, Azura Stevens, she's been struggling recently. Started the season strong, first 3 or 4 games, but since that, she hasn't done anything of significance. So this, not the greatest move. Not a fan of this move. But yeah, I didn't have a hot take for this week. I'm gonna try to have some preloaded for the coming weeks. This way, don't run into this again. But since we didn't have a hot take, I just went ahead and broke down this trade. Since the trade did happen yesterday, so it is still relatively new. But yeah, I think the Vlen come out as the biggest winners here. Now we can get back to the regularly scheduled programming and talk and do how we usually started off. with the Zips update. And so, as you see in the thumbnail, I got the Akron lacrosse team on there. Akron women's lacrosse, great way to start the season. I was the cameraman for that game. They had a match versus Du Queens, and they won that 17-6. Akron, they scored 3 or more goals in each quarter, so that was super cool. The clock doesn't stop in lacrosse apparently, so unless somebody scores, I think. But yeah, for the most part, the clock don't really stop. So Akron did their thing. They won significant amounts of key stats, such as shots with 33 to the Queens 14, shots on goal with 20 to the Queens 10. Had less turnovers, even though it wasn't by a lot. They had 8 turnovers while the Queens had 10. So still too close, but they still won by a significant margin. They won the ground, had the advantage in ground balls 20-9. And then the Queens, despite them losing by 11, one of their girls, Emma Rain, she had a really good game with 3 goals, really carried them and tried to give them a bit of a spark. Just wasn't enough. Well, it wasn't close to enough, but she did what she could. She played hard, just wasn't enough. And then for Akron, Sienna Hinchcliffe, she had 5 goals and 3 assists, accounting for 8 points of Akron 17 in that game. And Akron starts the season 1-0 in women's lacrosse. Really great game, great way to get the season started. So shout out to them. What's good, Ray? I just sent you a comment, but yeah. And then for the Akron women's basketball team, they won a game. They won a game after defeating. They defeated Toledo, which was the first time they had won back-to-back games all season. So that took forever. And Naraya Clark, she came off the bench with 19 points and 7 rebounds. So she had been looking good so far. Did it again the following game. After that, she had 19 points and 7 rebounds in a non-conference game versus Louisiana Lafayette. But that game resulted in a loss. So Akron didn't capitalize off that momentum at all. Louisiana had 2 wins and beat the Akron women's team, who only had 5 wins on the season, but still, you just won back-to-back games. You could have won a third one, but now the Akron women's team falls to 5-18 on the season, 2-8 in the conference. The last game was a non-conference game. They shot 7-27 from 3, so they're not going to win a game doing that. Naraya Clark started in this game, and she had 19-7 again. So no change in Naraya Clark and what she did for the team. But yeah, they had beat Toledo after the last. Well, no, that was before the last podcast episode. Before the last Tuesday pod episode, when they had beat. When they had beat Toledo in a conference game. So the Akron women's basketball team 5-18 on the season. 2-8 in the conference, not great, not fun. But yeah, 7-27 from 3. And it's so funny because before that game, we was making fun of the Raging Cajuns. The name is ass, but they beat our women's basketball team, so they got their 3rd win of the season. Can't hate on it because they got the win. Now for the Akron's men's team, they've been solid for the most part. They're 19-5 now. Still only had 1 loss in the conference, being 10-1. They won on the road against Eastern Michigan by just 2 points. That was a struggle. They hadn't struggled like that in a while from start to finish because they had been dominating a lot of second halves recently on their winning streak. So this had extended the winning streak to 9 games, despite Monty Loud struggling with just 4 points on 2 of 7 from the field, and Tavari Johnson going 5 of 15 from the field with 4 turnovers. So they ended up winning that game they won that game by 2 points versus a 9-win Eastern Michigan team. So that was a struggle that I wasn't expecting. I thought they would have played a lot better. But Eastern Michigan, they put up a battle throughout, just wasn't able to pull away late, wasn't able to post a game. And then Akron's winning streak would end to Troy in a non-conference battle where Troy won by 10 points, just exposing Akron. Tavari Johnson had 26 points, while Noah as a starter on Akron had 10 or more. So yeah, that's just. I've seen this coming. I knew they were gonna lose eventually because on this 9-game winning streak, it was at least 2 or 3 games in the first half. And I'm not even talking about the Eastern Michigan game. Before that, it was like 2 or 3 games where it was like first half it's really rough. They giving up easy looks, not getting back on defense. So it was like they just looked tired. They just looked out of place in some of these games in the first half, where they had to battle back towards the end of the first half or to start the second half. So it's like I can see they gonna lose at some point. I was really hoping it would have been a home game that the men's team lost because we'd have seen the women lose. Like we still hadn't lost at home all year, and then we did lose on the road to Troy, which you got to give Troy the respect. Cooper Campbell, he went off for 25 points and 5 assists, so he did his thing, carrying them to the victory. And Troy made 6 more threes than Akron did while shooting 52% from three. But Akron shot just 27% from three. So that's also another key in why you won't win a game. Shooting 27% from three, it's impossible for you to win the game shooting that bad from the 3-point line, especially when the other team is capitalizing. Because you do that against like some of them smaller market schools, you can do that. You can do that against like Arkansas State. You played Arkansas State. Maybe you can get away with that. But Troy, a team that's just as good, has around the same amount of wins to shoot. You know they can take advantage of that. And I just use Arkansas State as an example. The last few years, they've been a bit better the last few years, but just in general, that's a smaller market compared to Akron. So that was a really bad loss. And they lost by 10, didn't keep it close towards the end. So that's not. So I don't know what. Tough loss, but for Akron sports, the women's team, the women's basketball team still sucks. They're 5-18 on the season. The men's basketball team is 19-5, so they should. I think I gotta check the max standings. No, ESPN, they don't show you all. Actually, that actually makes sense why they don't. It's 4 NBA games tonight. This is not full scoreboard. Because I got to see where I'm pretty sure Akron is second in the MAC conference because they only had one loss. But I think it was Buffalo who was ahead of them. And that's my computer does not want to work. Okay, finally. I'm checking this. I don't care about what is the MAAC? Atlantic Athletic. I didn't even. Okay. Who the hell plays there? How? Okay. All right, but to check the MAC conference, that's the conference that Akron is in. I'm looking at the men's team. Miami is ranked. They're ranked 23rd now. They're 24-0 in the season. Wow, they haven't lost. Okay, so they're 11-0 in conference. Akron is 10-1. The MAC tournament going to be interesting, especially when they play. Do they play this? They got to play this season, right? Because I could So they don't play against each other this season at all. Wait. Oh, yes, they already played January 3rd. Oh, I was out of town. So, they beat Akron by 3, so they have played already. Yeah, so Miami is still probably take the conference more than likely. But yeah, they haven't lost. There's no stopping Miami. So Miami, Ohio, that is, not Miami, Florida. But yeah, still second in the MAC, just a game behind Miami, which I don't know if they're gonna lose any upcoming games. Yeah, probably not. I can take the Akron's women's team. I don't know what I just typed on the Akron women's team. I just want to see where they at in the standings. Well, actually, they're 5-8. They're 11th in the MAC. They're 5-18, so they're pretty bad. Okay. Now we can get to the bowling spotlight. This is the last. Is it something? Oh, so now I can talk about the bowling spotlight. This PBA Elite League. I've been previewing the teams from there. I previewed 4 to 6 teams already. Now I'm previewing the other 2. Then next week I'll do my final predictions on who I think. My final preview and predictions of who I think will be the best, who I think will win awards and stuff like that throughout the PBA, Elite League, and stuff. So we'll be doing predictions. So next week gonna be a heavy week for PBA, previewing the season and what it's gonna look like. But for the PBA Elite League to preview the final two teams, a reminder is 6 teams. You got 10 players for each team, and you got 14 total events, but you can only pick 5 players per event. So you can't get everybody can't be picked. Obviously, some teams are gonna have backup guys. So we're gonna see. We're gonna go over the Roto group first. The Roto group, they got some of my they got some guys on their team. I gotta make sure I separate this. Okay. The Roto group, their top players consist of Justin Knowles, Kevin McCann, BJ Moore, Chris Prather, and Anthony Simonson. I really like this 5. Justin Knowles is who got me into bowling. So I seen him in a tournament that got me hooked. He had 8 strikes in a row. Never forget that. The tournament that he won that got me hooked on the bowling. BJ Moore is great. I think he's young too. Obviously not as young as like a Ryan Barnes, but I think he's relatively young for a bowling age. So BJ Moore, I know he's gonna do his thing. Kevin McCann, and I've seen him in a few tournaments. He's solid. Don't know what. I think he'll have another good season. Chris Prather is a great. So is Anthony Simonson. I expect great things out of both of them. And then what you got, then is what comes after that. You got next up, and you got next, and the guys that's next up that's featuring Wes Malto, Frank Snodgrass, and Ben Sable and Stu Williams. Like, are those guys gonna be able to step up? So we'll see. Like the Roto grip, I think they're all right, but I think they don't. You could have used the 10th player. They only got 9 players, so that could be costly if an injury happens, if some wear and tear. Like they're the team with the least amount of players. Everybody else has 10. They're the only team with 9 players, and they could have found somebody else to be in that 10th spot. They didn't because they didn't have to. You can have up to 10. You don't have to have. You gotta have at least 6, if I'm not mistaken. Because you do just need 5 for a tournament, but you also got to consider injuries and stuff like that. So you got to have at least 6, but at most you can have 10. I would have went with that at most because I think it's going to be costly for this team to just have 9 players. So, and then you got a team like the Hammer, who they're a top-heavy team. The Hammer are with players like Jacob Butruff, Cam Crow, Tom Daughtery, Marshall Kent, and Bill O'Neill. So this is a very top-heavy team. Now, Bill O'Neill, he's one of the vets. He might have a really good season once again. If he didn't, like, maybe, and Bill O'Neill, actually, I can see age catching up to him. Tom Daughtery is older, too, but I think he still be fine. I think he'll still have a great season. Bill O'Neill, I'm kind of worried about the age, if that'll catch up to him. Marshall Kent is great. He's going to have some clutch performances. I can already see that coming. Him just being very clutch and providing them with a lot in this upcoming season. So that's definitely something I could see happening for that Hammer team, having him in a lot of tournaments. So Marshall Kent, he's going to be super valuable. You got the unknowns such as Thomas Cahoe, Alec Kaplingler, Brock Kroll, Shama Maldonda, and Zach Wilson. Like these, they got to make their names known. Like Alec Kaplingler, I've heard of him. I've seen him once, I think, but it's not really one of those more known names. You don't know much about him, so he's gonna have to stand out. He's gonna have to stick out like a sore thumb, but in a good way, to help this team to lead them to a great season. So you got your top 5. You got your top 5. I think Marshall Kent is the best out of that 5. Cam Crow, he's still young. I think he's going to continue to improve by the year, but if he might have some struggles. I know he was in some tournaments last year. Forget if he was in the Elite League, but if he struggles, don't be surprised. Not saying I want that, but I could see him being one of the guys to struggle during that time. Thomas Cahoga, what is he going to do? How is he going to step up? Like both of these teams have a lot of unknowns, and you're wondering what can they do. For the Roto grip, you're looking at Stu Williams. How is he gonna step up? Uh, but at least for the Hammer, they do got 10 players like the other teams. Excuse me, they do got 10 players like the other teams. While the and the Hammer, yeah, the Hammer have 10 players like the other teams. The Roto Grip, they only have 9 for some reason, which I think could be costly for that team to just have 9 players. But it is what it is, I guess. But yeah, that's just. I'm gonna do a deeper dive into the preview of the PBA season next week. So with that being said, we can move on from bowling spotlight and we can go to the Raw recap. Might be since I got more time since that segment was short, a little bit longer. Raw, I give it Raw 6.5 out of 10. It was all right. It wasn't bad to me. It was some stuff I really enjoyed. It was some stuff I didn't. CM Punk's promo, ironically, I'm not the biggest CM Punk guy, but that promo I actually really enjoyed, which I already spoke on in the short I made. I talked about, I kind of forgot what part of Raw made shorts about, but actually, I'm going to check real quick because I made shorts about the Usos and Alpha Academy. That was a really good tag team match. The story was short, but it was simple, so I enjoyed that. I just hope they keep that up with the tag division all year. It already seems like they won't because they got the Usos. Well, they got Jay trying to get into an Elimination Chamber qualifying match, which I don't like. But like I said, if you didn't see the shorts I made this morning, go check those out. I spoke about Dominic not defending the title. I spoke about CM Punk's promo with Finn Balor. I enjoyed that. I talked about the Usos and the Alpha Academy match, like I said. So I'm going to talk about some of the stuff that I didn't cover now. Let's start with how the show started with Becky Lynch. She seen AJ Lee backstage and it was doing the walkout scenes, how they always do. So that was actually pretty cool how she seen her and interacted with her, calling her out as soon as she got to the ring. Well, she really didn't, but she knew what she was doing by saying her name. So that was kind of on Becky. Well, not directly saying her name, but indirectly saying it. So Becky knew what she was doing. She got AJ to come out there. That promo was ass. One of the worst Becky promos I've seen. And I'm a huge Becky fan. I think she cuts great promos, but that last night was just not it. That promo between her and AJ Lee, abysmal. I hated what I saw in that promo. Like, it really wasn't good. Like AJ Lee, she was like, I beat you twice or whatever. Then Becky, she ended up giving her a title match at Elimination Chamber. Like, cool. I thought you would have did that at WrestleMania. Like, she just randomly come back on Raw. Like, having a return on Raw, that's not the problem. Like, obviously you got to build for WrestleMania, but to have her come back and you throw it right into a one-on-one match, like, she ain't wrestled nobody one-on-one since she's been back. She's had a tag match and she had a tag match and a War Games match. Like, she gotta have a one-on-one match. Like, it's been 41 days into the year, and she still ain't wrestled a one-on-one match in 2026. So you're just gonna throw her into the fire with Becky Lynch, and now Becky has to carry the match. So, and if I believe you got to carry a match, it's not a good. I want to, like, both parties need to work equally together. So I'm not excited for it. And then it seemed like they building some stuff around with Maxine and Natalya as well, or Natty now, because they had a match which it ended in a double count out. I don't think that makes Natty look dominant. Excuse me. Like, everything they did, they could have just had Natty beat Maxine in the ring, not beat her like one-on-one, but just beat her up, beat her down, to leave her hurt or whatever. Yeah, just have her hurt because you don't really need blood. That's not a blood feud yet. You got to keep building to that. You really could have just had Natalya like hurt her really bad, and then the ref got to call it off due to a ref stoppage. So, like, the double count out, I didn't like that. Then AJ Lee came out there to help Maxine. I thought the route they should have went was tag match at Chamber, do Becky and Natty versus AJ and Maxine. Then the Raw before Mania, you do Natty versus Maxine. Whoever wins. Nobody really cares. Then at WrestleMania, you do AJ Lee and Becky Lynch. And then, since you're already building a story with that, you don't got to go away from it immediately. because the backlash usually is 3 matches. So you could have did a backlash 4-way, fatal 4-way with those 3 women, because they might do a 4-way at WrestleMania, but I don't feel like that's worth the WrestleMania match. Becky and AJ is the Mania match. Well, I think the 4-way with the other two with Natty and Maxine, I feel like you could have saved that for a backlash. That would have been the perfect place to do that at. So we'll see. Liv Morgan is still yet to decide who she's facing at WrestleMania. I wish she would just pick Stephanie already and get it over with. Like, she just slapped up on Dominic. Please choose her already, because we know you're not choosing Jade. And even if you did, it doesn't make sense because y'all are both heels. Like, yes, in the tag match, Liv was selling for Jade, so she was doing a great job. So if they were to go one-on-one in the future, I wouldn't be opposed to it. But that future does not mean this year, because maybe at Crown Jewel, maybe I'll accept that in a champ versus champ match if Jade has it that long. But Jade and Liv, they don't need to go one-on-one. Liv needs to choose Stephanie because it makes the most sense. Raquel couldn't beat her, so I can. That's the story you got to go with. Because even what would the story with Jade be? It wouldn't make sense. Because you just gonna leave Raw. Like, Raw is already struggling in the singles division because everybody's in tag teams. So you can make the same argument for SmackDown, but then you're risking Raw struggling even more, because then Stephanie wouldn't have nobody to wrestle. So Liv, she needs to make her decision. Stephanie needs to change her theme song back to the original. They changed it last week or a week or two, I think. Then they changed it again this week. Like, stop changing it. Go back to the original. But that, and then she slapped on Dominic, but Dominic can't do nothing. He's still not defending the IC title. Yeah. Rhea Ripley qualified for the Elimination Chamber over two of my favorites, over Ivy Nile and Lara Valkyria. This match, it was a good match. I'm not even going to fake it. I enjoyed this match. They did a great job making all 3 women look good. And a lot of those spots were cool. Like, some of the spots in that match made it feel more real, I guess. So, yeah. Then Ivy Nile, she did a double suplex on the ground in the ring. Then she did it off the top rope. So Ivy Nile was doing her thing. But Rhea Ripley ended up getting the win, which I just think was the wrong decision. Which I said this last year, too, when they had Judgment Day feuding with Bianca and Naomi. I was like, why are the tag champions in the Elimination Chamber? Like, I was happy Bianca lost it because it made sense, but it was like Liv was a tag champion in an Elimination Chamber. Like, that don't make sense. Like, a champion shouldn't be in a chamber match trying to get a chance at another title. So I feel in the same way about Rhea. And you sacrifice 2 of your other young women you could be building up. Like, yes, Rhea is young, but she's already an established main eventer. Even if these women don't become established, at least take a chance with them. Lyra, she still got the stuff going on with Bayley. They could still be going. I know Bayley, she's got a qualifying match next week, but we just gonna forget about them going after the titles. Like, I know they didn't split up yet, but they could still be trying to go after the titles and have some proving grounds match to continue doing that. You could have had Lyra win, have Bayley lose, and Bayley cheers on Lyra. But I don't think Bayley minds doing that. Like, Lyra, she seems like a wrestler first person, and it seems like she's having fun with the story with Bayley. I mean, with the story with Lyra, and maybe that could lead to a one-on-one match with them. Because they're gonna have to split at some point, even if it's not one of them turning on each other. It can't be a tag team forever. And then Ivy now, she doesn't have nothing to do. She just goes back to the back after this. Rhea Ripley, she's the women's tag team champion. She already has a gold. Lyra, she already has a story in a tag team with Bayley, and they'll be probably be in that multi-person match at Mania for those women's tag titles. Ivy now has no other path. She's not doing nothing. She's not in the IC title scene. She already lost clean to Maxine, so you can't just throw her in there. It's like you could put her in the chamber and just give her that opportunity to shine and do something. Maybe she can impress the officials. If she don't impress, then cool. If she goes back down the card, but she looks really good in this match. She'll get a chance to show you maybe I could do more. It's like, why couldn't Ivy now win? She's the only one out of the 3 that don't have anything, like an actual story going on. Like Bayley and Lyra, like I said, it's still a story that they're telling. Rhea, she's the tag champions with EO. So Ivy now don't have nothing. Then she gets thrown in the match. She didn't take the pin, which I'm not getting. She didn't take the pin, but it's like it didn't matter who took the pin because she knew Rhea was winning. Like, why couldn't Rhea take a loss? Rhea don't even have to take the pin. Ivy now could have pinned Lyra. She would have pinned the former double champion, a woman that was IC champion and a women's tag champion. But okay. Javon Evans and the original El Grande Americano defeats Los Americanos. This was a good tag match. That OG Cutter was a cold spot. That's definitely one of the best spots of the year so far. I'm rocking with that. Javon calling with the original El Grande. That's pretty cool. I know people. I know some people had a problem with it at first with Javon being involved with the El Grande thing that's going on. But I'm actually not mad at it now because at least they gave him a story as soon as he came to the main roster. So like, he was already having interactions with the fake El Grande. Now he teaming up with the original. So I kind of like it. Like even if it don't, and I know he got the qualifying match next week with Gunther and what's his name, Dominic. But I kind of like this. Like Trick Williams called him up instantly in the main event scene. Javon called him up instantly in a storyline. It wasn't like he's just having random matches, like they put him in an actual storyline. So, and then Obafemi, they've called him up, but we still don't know which brand he's choosing. So he's really making you wait. Which else gonna be the next thing I talked about? I kind of like that Obafemi isn't on the brand yet. Like he just dominating on Raw and SmackDown, buried the War Raiders, buried Kit Wilson. I wish he didn't bury the War Raiders, but their contracts might be up. So it is what it is. But I kind of like that. They really making you wait. Like they really milking it. They really milking this like LeBron making the decision. And so it's kind of cool. I like what they're doing with Oba. But I'm definitely hoping that Brock match happen at WrestleMania. But yeah, like I said, Javon, he got on the main roster and instantly a storyline. Now he's in a qualifying match. He might not win, but if he does win, he's obviously going to pin Dominic. Gunther not going to take the pin. If Gunther loses, it's going to be because of Dragon Lee. He might cost him. He might take him out the equation. Javon pinning Dominic could tell a story of them fighting for the IC title because Dominic needs an opponent for that title. I know people saying Finn Balor. Maybe Finn isn't the end goal. Maybe Javon gets a shot. Maybe it's a triple threat between the three. Who knows? Because Dominic was like, you and JD can go after the tag titles. Dominic looking at him like, nigga, are you crazy? The tag titles. I won't singles go, the world title. So I said maybe it's a triple threat with Finn, Dom, and Javon. It just depends on if Gunther, but now Gunther got to be in the chamber though. He can't be retiring these legends and not be in the elimination chamber. Even if he don't win it, it's like he just retired Cena, Goldberg, and AJ in like the same 6-7 month span, like all in less than a year. So he should be in the chamber. So like Gunther or not, him being in the chamber will make the most sense. Now for the main event was kind of stupid to me. Not the match itself, but the interferences within the match. LA Knight, Penta, Austin Theory, like all three of them, they did their thing. They worked really well together in this triple threat. But if Division comes out to attack, Division come out to attack LA Knight, disregarding what Adam Pearce said. Paul Heyman didn't do nothing, but Bronson Reed and Logan, they attacked LA Knight. Then the masked man, he comes and attacks Theory. And shouldn't that set up Penta to win? And I like LA Knight. I'm glad he qualified. But think about that. Logically, if somebody interferes taking out LA Knight or trying to take him out, then somebody else interferes trying to take out Austin Theory, wouldn't it make the most sense for Penta to get the win? Since all those outside factors didn't affect Penta, those outside factors both interfered really on his behalf, even if indirectly on his behalf, to take out the other two. So shouldn't Penta get the win? Wouldn't that make the most sense? Since nobody came out there to attack him, the odds was really in his favor, to be technical. Like it's not that he lost, it's just the logic of, oh, well, it was interference on Theory's side, and it was somebody attacked Theory. You had Division attack LA Knight. So, but Penta still loses. Like that just doesn't make sense to me. Like I said, I'm glad the LA Knight won, but I wish they wouldn't have did all this. Like you could. Like, I don't even think you need an interference in this match. Like, it was really unnecessary. Just stay in the back and don't do nothing. Because y'all ended up costing Theory anyways. Then you have to chase out the masked man. Now, maybe it's just me, but that booking wasn't logical. But Raw was all right. I give it a 6.5 out of 10. Best match was definitely the Usos versus Alpha Academy. Check out my short about that match. I enjoyed that. Otis looked great. Cesaro was doing his thing. The Usos, great tag team as usual. I know Jay botched the super kick on the Caterpillar. I thought that was a difficult move to pull off anyways. I'm not trying to excuse it, but even seeing it in real time, I didn't think he was pulling it off. And I was correct. He didn't pull it off. So that spot looked kind of stupid to me. But hey, I guess the producer saw something different. But moving on to the injury report, um, Braun, Braun Breaker injured his hernia. So that I did a bit of research before the podcast. Apparently, a hernia can keep you out for 4 to 8 weeks. So that's not good. Um, yeah, hopefully they said he's out indefinitely. Hopefully it's just that 4 week time frame, so he'll be back in time for WrestleMania. But he got injured flipping the table. Braun Breaker, he got an injured flipping the table. There's no way in hell you're serious. And they tried to play it off as, oh, he was so stressed that he was working out too hard. You know how fucking stupid that sounds? But prayers up to Braun Breaker. Obviously not trying to make a joke of the injury, but you can't be. You bro, I'm really joking about the excuse, but you injured yourself of flipping a fucking table. And then Paul Heyman said he was so stressed that he worked out too hard. What the fuck does that mean? But anyways, prayers up to Braun Breaker. Hopefully it's just that 4 weeks. Like I said, a hernia can take anywhere from 4 to 8 weeks. And sometimes these injuries take longer just depending on how people's bodies work, because everybody's body is different. So, yeah, prayers up to Braun Breaker. And that's one of the most recent injuries. I don't remember no other recent injuries from any sports really, but a few guys that are expected to be back soon. Leo Carlson for the 30 and 23 and 3 Ducks. He's supposed to be back when the Olympic break is over, which that'll be on the 25th. So the Ducks, that'll be much needed. Leo Carlson's been pretty solid this season. They're 30 and 23 and 3, so he'll be a welcome addition back to the lineup. The Oilers, who are 28 and 22 and 8, they're expecting Adam Henrique back after Olympic break as well. So that's going to be positive. Henrique is one of the best players in the league. So the Oilers getting him back is going to be great, especially for the second half push with them. Because obviously the Oilers, they want to get back where they were last season. At least get to the playoffs. Them getting to the Stanley Cup, probably unlikely. But when you get to the playoffs, anybody has a chance, as we've seen throughout any sport, because we've seen wild card teams win in the NFL. We've seen the Heat go to the finals as an 8 seed. So anything can happen. We've seen 100-win teams in the MLB get first rounded. So anything can happen. Then the Panthers, who are 29 and 25 and 3, very disappointing season for the Florida Panthers. They're getting 6 rotational players back for Olympic break. So obviously their disappointment comes from injuries, which that's just unfortunate. But they're going to be getting those guys back the 25th once the Olympic break is over. And so I expect an exciting second half for them, and I do see them making a potential push for the playoffs, getting in as that last wild card team. Now for Chad Gable, he just returned recently, Ezo Grande, Americano. The match he had was a solid match they had, the tag team. That was also another good tag match. I enjoyed that. It just wasn't as good as the Usos match, but it was still a good match. Can't deny that. So I've been seeing the clips of him in AAA with him and Kaiser building the story as the Americanos. Let me know what y'all think. Should Ludwig Kaiser versus Chad Gable Americano, should it be at a AAA event or should it be at WrestleMania? Because I'm hearing that the AAA crowds are reacting a lot better to that opposed to the WWE crowds. So let me know what y'all think in the comments. Skylar Diggins-Smith, she's been back for about 7 games. Unfortunately for the Lunar Owls, they'll still struggle going. Well, they weren't winning before. They started the season 0-4, I think, with her out, or 0-3. She came back, got them a few wins. They are 2-5 since she's been back, but they were struggling before that. Skylar Diggins-Smith averaging 15 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 block per game on 35, 17, 83 splits. So it hasn't been great, but she did get them a few wins when she came back, at least, because while she was out, they weren't able to win at all. So that 2 wins is better than being 0-3. So I'm pretty sure they're 2-8 on the season or something. So she is the reason they've gotten those 2 wins. Now, most of y'all are probably here for Austin Reaves. Austin Reaves is back, and he hasn't lost a step, like I said in the title. The Lakers are 3-1 since Reaves has come back. He's come off the bench in every game. And he's still been great for us. He was having an all-star level season. went down due to injury. I think the Lake if Reaves stayed healthy, the Lakers would have been the lowest seeded team to get 3 All-Stars. But it is what it is. Reaves will be an All-Star whenever LeBron retires for sure. But Reaves, he's come back. He's averaging 20.5 points, 4.5 rebounds, 4.3, no, 4.5 assists, 4.3 rebounds, 1.3 steals while shooting 52% from the field, 35% from three, and 85% from the line. And like I said, we're 3-1. Our only loss came to OKC, which I'm not even mad at. They're the first seed in the West, and everybody except for Shea played. So, but Reaves, like he was playing like an all-star pre-injury. After he's came back, he's had some struggles, but he's still been super impactful. He's still been a good playmaker for us. Late in that game when we needed buckets, that's who we went to in the OKC game, despite us losing. We were looking at Reaves. He's been like off the bench. He's really been a spark plug. Now he shouldn't keep coming off the bench. He does need to start eventually. Like he's doing this, which has been great. But once we'll have Luka and Reaves back, I just say keep starting them because we're gonna have Kennard coming off the bench hitting some threes. You got a decision to make because we're gonna have Luka, Reaves, Laravia, Brown, and Aiden. Because Rui can come off the bench and do his thing. I prefer Rui to come off the bench and be our sixth man. Then you got Kennard. He had a few threes. The vibes are high with Kennard. But Reaves, to focus on him, he's come back and look great. Like the splits have been solid. Getting a steal per game. He had 2 steals in one of these games. Excuse me. He had 2 steals in one game, but he's still averaging over 20 points per game. He's doing this while coming off the bench. He had a 35-point game off the bench in one of these games that led to a win. Obviously, it's back. Obviously, some of these games is kind of like Reaves, what he did last season, which is still impressive because he's just coming back from an injury. He missed a month of action, so I'm not expecting him to come back averaging 25 like he was doing to start the season. But he's still giving us really good production while off the bench and giving us solid defense, giving us great offense, being able to be effective in multiple areas of the floor. So I'm happy with Reaves and what he's done. I'm happy with the Lakers right now. The trade for Kennard, I like. Obviously, Luka is out with an injury, so obviously that's not something to be thrilled about. But Reaves, he's come back. He's looked great. LeBron seems more comfortable recently, especially in the third quarter. The game before we played OKC had it was versus the Warriors. He was great in the third quarter. He only had 20 points that game, but in that third quarter, he went off for about 12 of those 20. And so I've been happy lately with the team. We got the Spurs tonight, so hopefully we can get that win. We might not, considering doing a back-to-back. And I don't know if LeBron is playing. He has played a few, but I don't know if he's playing. But we've won. We beat the Nets, beat the Sixers, and we beat the Warriors. The Sixers game is where Reaves went off for 35, which is also impressive considering VJ Edgecombe is a good defender. Like out of the rookie class, especially that top, because him, Coop, and Khan in that top 3, he's the best defender out of the 3. While the other 2 have played better this season, and VJ definitely the best defender out of the 3. So, but yeah, Reaves, like his playmaking skills solid. It's definitely taking a step up compared to previous seasons. He's just averaging 4.5 assists since being back. I think he's going to continue to go up. It might go back down to average when Luka come back, but to just check our injuries, because Luka might be. Oh, he was out Monday. I'm trying to see. Okay, it's not going to show me, and it's not showing me when he comes back. I was trying to see when does Luka come back for us. Luka, he might be back tonight. So we'll see. Hopefully he's back tonight. I can't confirm that, but he could be back tonight. So we'll see. But yeah, Austin Reaves, he looks great so far since coming back. I mean, because he's, like I said, we're 3-1 with him in the lineup, all coming off the bench. Only loss being against OKC. So that's, like I said, I'm not mad at that. They didn't have Shea, so it is what it is. Everybody came back or was back. We had The wins against the Warriors and Sixers was much needed, and against the Nets, of course, because they're a bad team, so needed that. But the Sixers and Warriors are two teams competing for playoff versus themselves, so beating two potential playoff teams, that's definitely something we needed. Lost to OKC, which is unfortunate. But Reaves, he's given us some great production, still being able to score, just impact the game in multiple different ways, just coming back from injury. So he's been really effective and impactful. Don't know if he's playing tonight. Hopefully he will. I know it's a back-to-back, but he'll definitely be coming off the bench again. But if Luke is back, that'd be great too. Hopefully he is. His estimated return is today, but that could be wrong because I've seen players' estimated return be one day, then they come back a few days later just to make sure that they're fully healthy. But now we can transition into, are we buying this? The Las Vegas Raiders, can they be a competent NFL team next season? Now, the NFL season just ended. I dropped my Super Bowl review, so check that out if you already haven't. Congratulations to the Seattle Seahawks. What they earned that victory. Had a great season. But the Raiders, can they be a competent team? And the reason why this question came to mind is because the Seahawks offensive coordinator, he's expected to be their head coach. Clint Kabak, I might have said his last name wrong, but he's expected to be their head coach. And he did a great job as OC, spending 2 years in Seattle. He was the reason that Geno did get paid by the Raiders. Like if Geno wasn't under Clint, I don't know if he plays as well as he did last year. Obviously, he wasn't amazing, but he was good enough to where Las Vegas was like, oh yeah, we'll take him. We'll take a gamble. We'll pay him. And then Sam Darnold had another great season. He looked great last year in Minnesota, having Justin Jefferson. And then this year he looked great again. Then obviously in the playoff game, he folded from Minnesota when they needed him the most. He played terrible. Then this year, when the Seahawks needed him, he played great. Now, a lot of people think the Vikings will regret not getting him back. The Vikings offered Sam Darnold an extension, but he liked the deal from Seattle more because Seattle was offering him more money. They offered him a better contract, and he took a gamble on himself. And he performed, did what he needed to. But yeah, but also that's a product of a plan under Clint because he set up a great game plan for him to look great. And that's even with Sam Darnold leading the league in turnovers this year for quarterbacks. But Sam Darnold, when did he step up? He stepped up in the playoffs. Regular season, committed a lot of turnovers, led the league, like I said, but it stepped up when they needed him the most, so I can't hate on that. But the Raiders, are we buying them as a competent NFL team? They got the first pick in this year's draft. It's a 99% chance they take Fernando Mendoza. I would be surprised if they didn't. If they didn't, that'd be really dumb because you can't, unless you took an offensive lineman. But do you risk? Because if you take an offensive lineman, that means you're committed to Geno Smith for another full year. And then you're giving a chance behind you to take Mendoza. But it's a 99% chance they take Mendoza. He was just Heisman winner, led Indiana to the national championship. Anybody that's hating on that is weird. People aren't the fan. Now, this quarterback class isn't great, but Mendoza, he plays the game the right way. He don't commit turnovers, has a good ball control. Obviously, he's not going to have that same offensive line protection with the Raiders because they suck. They just went 3-14 while having Ashton Jeanty, Brock Bowers, and Trey Tucker. But the reason why they went 3-4 is because the offensive line is terrible. Ashton Jeanty had 975 rushing yards. That is impressive considering how bad that offensive line is. I didn't think that would be possible, but he made it work somehow. So I think with a better offensive line, you still got the second and third rounds to do that. I don't know what their pick situation looks like. I know they had a first pick. You got to take Mendoza, but then you got to get some linemen. Like skill positions, you're fine. Ashton Jeanty, running back, Brock Bowers, tight end, Trey Tucker, wide receiver. Now, obviously, you're not going to rely on Trey Tucker as your wide receiver one for a significant time. But in that first season, don't go too hard on, because obviously Las Vegas, that's an attraction. But you also got to establish a culture. To go with the Raiders, with them having a new head coach, you're likely going to have a rookie quarterback. Hopefully, you improve the offensive line. Focus on that. Try to win 5 more games than you did last year. You went 3-14 this season. Try to go 8-9 or 9-8 with this roster And then Trey Tucker, depending on what he does, see, oh, if he's solid, but he can't, if he has a Devontae Smith type of season, what Devontae Smith did in 2021 with my Eagles, if he can play like that, you can be like, oh, yeah, he's the guy we keep for the future, but we need a wide receiver one. That's when you go out and get that A.J. Brown to your Devontae Smith. That's when you do that. Like, let it develop for a year, see what you can do with that. Because obviously it's not the most, because you got a talented running back and tight end. Then Mendoza, he's talented as well. He's really good in my opinion. So you can test that out because you're not in a win now mode. You're not in a Ben Johnson type of situation where even if you do that, like you probably like I don't think people expected Ben Johnson to take the Bears to the playoffs. He was just with the Lions, and people were like, yeah, they have improved. They'll probably be a wild card team. They were the second seed. So Clint, can he turn the Raiders around like that? I don't think so. But if he does, then congratulations to him and the Raiders. I'm not going to hate if they do that. I'll be very impressed. But I don't think you can do that with this team. But you also, like I said, the goal isn't play. I don't even think the Bears' goal was playoffs. Obviously, you want to win, but you want an improvement because you won 4 games the previous season for the Bears, and then they went from 4 wins to the second seed. That's impressive. Now for the Raiders, obviously the AFC is tough to win in. So get these things, improve the offensive line. Don't invest in a quarterback yet. See what else you have with Trey Tucker, with him having another full season as your top wide receiver under Mendoza, under Clint. And then see, can he be that Devontae Smith, or do we need to move off him because he's just not it in general? So that's what I would do if I'm the Raiders. That's how I'm looking at this. That's the perspective I would want to tackle this from if I'm Las Vegas, because this team, they're going to be exciting to watch. Who didn't like watching Genty at Boise State? Who didn't enjoy seeing Brock Bowers at Georgia? Who didn't? Some people they don't like. Some people don't like Mendoza. I guess he's born or whatever. But he's doing what he needs to win the games. He don't got to be flashy. He don't got to throw 500 yards to win a game. That's not what Mendoza needs to do. He had more touchdowns and incompletions in the playoff run Indiana just went on. So I don't care about him throwing for 400, 450 yards. You don't need that. But the Raiders, I do think if you can get some offensive linemen in that second, third, fourth round, I expect the team to be better. And maybe not playoffs, maybe not that much better, but a little bit. So I think they can win 8 or 9 games if they follow this path. It's still hella early to tell, but we'll see where they go. But with that being said, like I said, I started the podcast doing with a trade alert and Unraveled. If you have any hot takes, just leave it in the comments section. Not on here because I'm going to end this, but I'll post it in my community tab on YouTube at some point this week for y'all to leave hot takes. So it can be basketball, football, wrestling, sports related in general, whatever you have a hot take about. But since I didn't have a hot take for this week, I just replaced it with a trade alert since it was a trade and Unraveled. But with that being said, leave a like on this live. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Comment, share for us to see. Yeah, like, comment, subscribe, and share. This was another good stream. I have a video out tomorrow about James Pearson, Rakia Jackson, that whole situation. Make sure you check out my recap of the Super Bowl. If you didn't see that, I dropped that yesterday. Did a watch along yesterday for the Kings and Pelicans game, the 2 worst teams in the Western Conference in the NBA. So that was entertaining. And there was some fights in the NBA that I heard about. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, shout out Isaiah Stewart. And that's the end of this stream.